held up if Cincinnati had been trying to re-sign Trey Hendrickson, but they weren't. So, like, Cincinnati has. I think they're the favorites in my eyes. They've done enough on defense. The offense is elite as long as Burrow stays healthy, which is an if. I get it, but these off years sometimes he'll alternate between an injured year and a healthy one. I just feel like, you look at the schedules. I saw a stat they're currently favored to win 15 of their 17 games. I think it's set up for Cincinnati, the only team in the division that didn't change head coaches, to ride that continuity and win the division.
I'm with you, Bengals. And your original continuity means something. Let's move to the West.
Yeah. It is a fascinating discussion about the Cincinnati Bengals, the Baltimore Ravens, continuity. There's a ton of changes, obviously, with the Ravens. Will that help them? Will that hurt them? Cincinnati Bengals have the continuity. Does that help them? Does that hurt them? Obviously, the health, all of that. But it's so interesting to me how we discuss a team like the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, I have someone in the comment section who's very upset that I've been making Cincinnati Bengals content, and he's very upset. And he's like, "You're just making stuff up. You're just saying this because you're trying to pander to the Cincinnati Bengals fan base." And it's like, you're right. You're absolutely right. I make Bengals content in hopes that Bengals fans will then watch the videos. I know it's a crazy concept. It's a crazy concept that when I make a Cincinnati Bengals video, I hope that the Bengals fans will watch the video. I know it's crazy. I'll tell you what I don't do is just say nothing but positives in hopes of being like, look, I'm the guy who cheerleads the Bengals or something. If that was the case, I'd make an individual channel for each team, essentially. Like I would just be like, I'm the Bengals guy. I don't do that at all. And so when I speak really highly about the Bengals, when I'm really excited and believe that the Cincinnati Bengals are actually going to be a great team, when I spend a ton of time and put together all these stats, all these graphics, all these charts, and try to explain to you why Joe Burrow is so great, what he's been able to do, compare it to other quarterbacks, Mahomes, whatever, it's like, yeah. I hope the Bengals fans take note of it and watch it and see the work that I'm putting in. Like, it's really, really quite bizarre to me that I'm getting pushback. And then when I talk about how they are favored to win 16 out of 17 games or whatever the heck it is, and I said, I'm going to do like a little bit of a victory lap, because when I first looked at the schedule, I said, oh man, I got the Bengals in majority of these games. Like, this schedule looks amazing. And so when I said doing a victory lap about that, I meant like victory lap as in like, see, like even Vegas agreed, like they're favored, like, see, like.
Okay, let's talk about this a little bit further than we already have in the past. But before we do, Cleveland Browns fans, please do not forget to subscribe and watch the full length of the video. When you guys do that, views go through the roof. Subscribers go through the roof. And it's not about chasing views. It's not about chase subscribers. It's about being able to create Cleveland Browns content that people genuinely want to watch and discuss, so we can keep having the most unbiased, grounded, genuine discussions about the Cleveland Browns. It really makes a huge difference. So, please do consider subscribing and watching the full length of the video. But yeah, I'm glad he said about Mahomes, because that's what I had said, that like people forget that like Deshaun Watson was essentially supposed to be like Mahomes before Mahomes. Like it was like, oh my gosh, who is this quarterback? And then everything took a turn, obviously, right? For so many different reasons. Don't have to unpack that much deeper than that. Here's the reality, because we're talking about Deshaun Watson's age and like, I can't believe for a quarterback that quarterbacks are playing until they're 40. He tore his so he tore his ACL to so did, and then he named someone who's not a quarterback, and it's like, well, we can always find other different players, etc., and so it's just like you're now at this point asking Deshaun Watson to potentially have to play a completely different brand of football than he's ever played, when he also hasn't even really played a lot of football for years. Like, this is just inherently a messy situation that you're trying to figure out, Deshaun Watson. Can't just casually take time away from something or just not be able to play or compete for so long and then just think that you can just magically easily jump in. It's just not that straightforward. Now, when compared to Shedeur, of course, Deshaun's going to have way more experience. Of course, Deshaun is going to be able to, operate and practice at a higher level, at a quicker level, be able to have conversations with the coaching staff at a higher, deeper, more, intellectual level, etc. to just by virtue of Deshaun Watson being in the NFL for years, regardless of the injuries. He's been around the NFL for years and years and years in a way that Shedeur just has not. So when they ask the question, listen, what quarterback do we throw out there? We got to feed our families. What do we do in the beginning stages? You're going to feel more comfortable with Deshaun Watson because it's just going to be cleaner and make more sense at this point of the season. That's understandable. But that's why it's like, and that's why I like what Todd Monken is doing, where he's like, I'm not giving anyone a head start. We're just really going to try to split this up and just really see what we have in front of us, because in the year liar stages, Deshaun Watson absolutely has that advantage. But when it comes time to actually play at full speed, we'll see what happens with Deshaun, especially with his athleticism and where his body is at right now. And if Todd Monken's system suits him better, because that's the other thing. That's also why you're giving Deshaun Watson a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt right now and not automatically jumping to Shedeur Sanders, because you're like, well, we fired Stefanski. Stefanski is the problem. We got Stefanski out the door and now we got a new coach. New coach, and now we got two quarterbacks, and let's see who's better with this new coach, right? Like, that's why we fired one coach and hired another. We think the coach that we fired was a problem and we hired the other coach that we think is the solution. Whether that's with Shedeur Sanders or Deshaun Watson, I don't know, but it's up to you to figure out, Mr. Monken, go get it. And so, yeah, you're going to do your due diligence. You're going to see, is that true? Was Stefanski a major problem? Was it the system? Was it the coaching? Was it, etc., etc., etc.? And if it was, and Todd Monken solves that, well, then you have an actual quarterback that has all this experience, who has the potential to be great. And not only the potential to be great, but we've seen his greatness. Whereas Shedeur has the potential where you're like, okay, he's got the potential to be great, but we haven't really seen it in the NFL. Sure, you saw some flashes of it throughout the course of the season, but you actually haven't really seen it in a way that you have with Deshaun Watson. The problem with that mentality and logic is that that's how we feel about a lot of these other aging quarterbacks. And I understand Deshaun Watson is not necessarily a prototypical aging quarterback, but because of how everything has unfolded for him, it kind of makes sense maybe to look at him through the lens of like a 35, 36, 37-year-old quarterback. And so you're just like, we knew how great Aaron Rodgers was. We knew how great Phillip Rivers was. We knew how great, right, all these. Can we just get a little bit? Can we, is there any left of that? Any of that left in the tank? And it's just like you kind of start chasing something that you may never actually get to. And this is then becomes the other thing that kind of weighs down, or that kind of hurts Shedeur a little bit, is that he's not this elite like freak athlete in the way that Deshaun Watson was, I suppose, or that you see with like a Kyler or Lamar, where like you just know immediately that at the very bare minimum you put Shedeur out there like he's going to bring some big plays because of his athleticism, because of his size, strength, speed, etc. Like he doesn't bring that to this team in a snap of the fingers that like again Lamar was able to do. Kyler was aware just by virtue of them being on the field. Could this offense has some juice just because of like just what he could do with his athleticism alone, his ability to scramble pick up yards, whether it's scramble to buy time or scramble to pick up yards, whichever. So, it's just like Shedeur doesn't even necessarily have that like immediate advantage over Deshaun Watson. And so, that's why like it's really going to come down to probably more than anything who picks up the system faster. Who is able to run the offense that Todd Monken wants to run? Who could run that offense? Unless Deshaun Watson's physicality, and I don't even mean now just like a traditional athleticism like I was just talking about. I just mean like his ability to like, throw, right? Just still have a big arm, still be able to scramble in a way to like by tie and move around the pocket, right? Just not be like a rundown, fragile, broken down quarterback. But as long as like he's got this base level physical skill set, it just comes down to again like who just simply runs the offense better, who simply, is able to adjust protections, go through their progressions, etc., right? Like who does that better? And that is where Deshaun Watson, like I said, potentially has a major head start now through the course of a season or through the course of a game or whatever it may be. When all that stuff breaks down, who can be more resilient? Like that's the other kind of push and pull with the Shedeur because he still is young and he hasn't had a full season. He still opens up the door in those moments to not only show awesome things and play beyond what you need in terms of like on-script play, but then also with the same token also has the ability to make a bad play even worse because he's young and still needs to be developed, etc. Right? In a lot of ways this season is an extension of his rookie season. So, there's still plenty of bad play for Shedeur to have. Even if he's going to end up being the starter and be this awesome quarterback of the future, there's still plenty of bad play for Shedeur to get through. That's just how it works. It's just how it works for every quarterback out there. And so, it's just like, how does that balance out with what Deshaun Watson can bring today? Not the future, not caring about the past. How does that balance out with what Deshaun brings today? And normally, I don't even mean like today as in like May because I'm like, well, September. No, I mean like also now like in May and June and July, like what does he show in those moments? So, it's a tricky messy situation. I'm not worried about the money. Not worried about even what he was in the past, not worried about the injury. It's just kind of like how do we balance out the fact that Shedeur still needs to be developed. Shedeur, has some potential. Deshaun, we've seen the potential. Figuring out how healthy is he. What can he do? He's going to be able to grab the offense faster than Shedeur just by virtue of his experience. How do we weigh this all out now compared to Shedeur's inexperience? What about when the play breaks down? Who's a little bit more, well-equipped to overcome those types of moments? 1 minute we see Shedeur can do it, the next minute we see you make a bad play, right? It's just like it's a lot to have to juggle. It's a lot to have to juggle. And yeah, that's why it's just like if you are Todd Monken, it makes sense to just actually really just like 100% split this down the middle and just be like what do we got, right? Like just split it right down the middle. But I'm on the record saying before though that at the end of the day, it's like put Shedeur out there just because like if it's close, if it's a close battle, put Shedeur out there because he can actually be your quarterback of the future in a way that Deshaun Watson's not going to probably unless Deshaun Watson shows. Things got crazy for me. It was a crazy detour in my career, but I'm back. Unless Deshaun Watson can say I'm back. Remember the name. It's like I would throw out Shedeur. It's like I would Todd Monk's not trying to save his job right now. He just got a head coaching job. Like and this is where the owner needs to be like you got the runway. You got the runway. If you need to go through growing pains with Shedeur, if it's going to be a little up and down or whatever, or if Shedeur is not even the right quarterback and we're going to draft, like you got the runway, you don't have to immediately just try to put like because that's what they said, you got to, feed your family, this that you got to stay employed. It's like you got to give Todd Mon some space. You can't just have him put immediately. You have to have him to be able to go through some growing pains with like a Shedeur or something. And so that's why for me it just comes down to unless Deshaun Watson shows I am back. I am here. I go with Shedeur. But I don't know if that's actually how it's going to unfold though. It feels like it'll just be like, well, whoever just kind of wins the job wins the job. Even if it's just by 0.5%. And if that's the case, like I keep saying, Deshaun Watson, then he's favored then. It's just by virtue of experience. That's how it works. Experience matters. People always undercut the importance of experience, and I just don't understand why personally. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Shedeur Deshaun Watson? How do you think this is going to continue to unfold? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment. So, you agree with me or disagree with me? Either way, let's get some discussions. Let's get some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. I think we're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're all on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.